And we're back, and we're so glad to have you back with us. There are several things that we talked about during our break, and we want to cover all of that for you. The main thing that I need to mention, we have one VetTrans driver, and he's contacted me constantly and said, Tom, you never let people know that you were in the Air Force. Obviously, he's an Air Force veteran. And I told him, I said, during this show, I'm going to let everybody know I spent 32 years in the Air Force. I was a master sergeant. I switched over, became a second lieutenant, retired as a lieutenant colonel. 32 years in the Air Force, thoroughly enjoyed it. And so I wanted to make sure that that got out. And we're going to talk about VetTrans and the drivers and just how passionate they are about what they do. So those are just some of the things we're going to cover in this session. So let's talk about VetTrans first.
VetTrans, we started about a year and a half ago. It's operating out of the NYE Communities Coalition.
Okay.
Basically, we were looking to find a program and a service that could be specifically for vets so that you know, we're honoring their value and their service and letting them know that we care about them.
Okay.
And transportation was an area where we were really lacking for veterans. We have the DAV program, which is very specific to what it does. So we were able to receive funding through the Nevada Department of Veteran Services on a $50,000 a year grant to provide transportation to veterans, specifically for any medical or any pharmaceutical appointment here in town, and we do trips into Las Vegas multiple times per month as well. So in the last year and a half, we have a client list of about 200 clients that are all veterans, and we assist them as they call, kind of on a demand response type system that we've talked about to get them to their doctor's appointments here and locally and in Las Vegas at no cost whatsoever.
No cost. If a veteran, can they take anybody with them?
Yes, their attendants, their spouses, their caregivers, their service animals. We do not limit that whatsoever. The ride is for them, so if they have someone that needs to come with them, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. And if they're going to a pharmacy at Walmart, picking on Walmart again. If they're going to a pharmacy at Walmart or any other pharmacy, and they happen to want to pick up some groceries on the way, is that allowed?
Yeah, anything they can carry themselves, you know, we just can't assist with that. So if they can carry 2 or 3 bags with groceries that they get at the same time and bring that on the bus with them, it's perfectly fine.
To take them home?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds great. Who would they call if they were interested in anything for VetTrans?
The VetTrans number is 775, which you want to make sure you dial that, 775-572-VETS, V-E-T-S. And you can call that number Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 and schedule your ride. We have some people that schedule their ride 3 and 4 weeks out just to make sure they're on the list. But we do ask for a minimum of 24 hours notice. And said currently we serve, we do about 150 to 175 rides per month for the veterans. And so it's something that we can do for them that makes them feel very special, honored, and that, you know, we do care about them and what their needs are.
Okay, you mentioned the DAV, which is Disabled American Veterans. What's the difference between VetTrans and the DAV vans?
The DAV is limited because they're more governed by some federal guidelines, so they can only transport to and from the VA clinics, and they can only transport able-bodied or people who are not disabled or in wheelchairs. They can't transport them. They don't have that ability. So you have to be ambulatory and be able to walk in and out of the vehicle yourself, to where we transport anyone, handicapped or ambulatory. We have some families we take that where the husband and wife are both in a wheelchair, so we transport both of them together at the same time. And again, we go to any medical facility and any pharmacy. We're not limited to just the VA facilities.
Okay. That's a big difference, folks, and definitely helps. So keep that number handy. One more time for VetTrans?
775-572-VETS.
Okay. Hope you wrote that down. Okay. Now, I want to get back to some of the other things that we were talking about. We're going to talk about transportation, local bus transportation in Pahrump. Okay, we have all of this, and somebody's got to pay for it. How is it funded?
You want to take this one?
Well, I'll start. NDOT provides about, on a weighted average, about 67% of the funding for transportation programs at this point for rural funding. So you have about 33% that the organization has to make up through other methods. And they do that through utilizing other grants that might be available, like the Senior Center uses the ADSD grants, and they receive funding there, which is able to provide free transportation to their seniors and to persons with disabilities. So you look at that as another funding source. Local businesses, organizations support the senior center and been providing funds there. They have voucher programs, their donations, their fares. All of those go to supporting the program to keep it operational. In some areas, say for example in Clark County, the tax money that comes in through the county, a lot of that money is diverted to supporting public transportation. Okay. You know, our local government here, our commissioners were very helpful in this last year in being able to commit some funds to supporting the public transportation initiative. Going through the senior center, we did not have to utilize those the way that we had planned if we were doing an initial startup with an organization. But our local government has been very supportive of that, and that's funding that has directed.
Thanks our commissioners. We want to thank all
Absolutely.
5 commissioners for that.
Yeah, so that was wonderful that they were going to be supporting us in that way. Fortunately, we're able to do it through this method where we didn't require that. Okay. But, you know, they stepped up and said, you know, we're willing to help. And so a lot of communities get a lot of money through their taxes, their local taxes, because we're paying taxes already. And if we're not bringing some of that tax money back here to be used, it's going to be used in other parts of the state. Okay. Yeah. And so that was the goal, was to, okay, we're putting out this tax money now for various things, which is diverted to transportation. And if we're not bringing that and diverting it back here to be used, it's just going to be used in other areas of the state.
Of this state or any state?
Of this state or any state, yeah. Yeah. Depending on where the tax is coming from.
Okay, and we want it here.
That's right. If we're already paying it, we'd like it to come right back here to help service ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that sounds great. Okay, now I want to get into this other part because I know there are a lot of businesses around and they want to do something to support us too. How can they get involved?
There are many ways that a local business can contribute to public transportation. You can do it simply by a donation, just an outright donation. You can do it, and we are going to offer advertising space on the backs of our public transportation buses.
Let me back up just a second. If they want to make a donation, who would they donate to?
It would be Pahrump Senior Center. Okay. And then that would be transportation donation.
Got it. Okay.
And that would specify that exactly where it goes, and it cannot be utilized anyplace else. But like I said, we're going to have advertising space available inside and outside of the buses for any of the local businesses that wish to advertise. I mean, it's a great opportunity for your business to be seen and heard, you know.
So I can advertise my show.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
You might even get a discount for having us on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And being a vet.
That's even better. Okay. Okay. What else can they do?
What else can they do? Well,
donations, advertising.
Yes.
Now that would be signs or something inside the buses.
Inside the buses, or even on the outside, if you want to pay like a yearly fee to have us display your logo or your, you know, we're going to have little spots inside the buses that they can set their menus in. For example, if they wanted to advertise their restaurant.
Great.
You know, instead of having to do mailers and flying or doing door-to-door, putting flyers on people's doors, it would be right there in a public transportation bus where hundreds of people would see it.
You know, I haven't ridden a bus for a long time, but I know when I sat on the bus, you always look for something to read. Now, I know everybody else have their little cell phones they're looking at now, but with something interesting to read, especially a menu, a sale at a particular store or something else, this would be great.
Yeah, it works perfect, and a lot of areas do that in the rural communities because the businesses are smaller and they can't afford a big billboard of advertisements. So this gives them something affordable to get into the community as well. One of the great things about small communities and what a lot of organizations do here in Pahrump is they hold within those organizations small fundraisers. For example, like the Elks Lodge might do a spaghetti dinner. Yes. And then they take that money that they make off that spaghetti dinner and donate that directly to the transportation program or to search and rescue or whatever organization they're sponsoring at that time. So any business can put on any type of event and hold that and put all of the donations towards that program or split it among multiple organizations. So we're really trying to encourage businesses and organizations moving forward in our community to do that, just to help strengthen our community so that we can all grow together.
Okay. I want to remind everybody who I have with me today. I have Albert Bass. Albert is our mobility manager for which
Southern
area?
Nevada, all southern rural counties.
All of Southern Nevada counties. And we also have Eric Whalen. He's the transportation supervisor for the Pahrump Senior Center. And he's emphasized several times you don't have to be a senior to ride the buses. But if you're a senior, it's a volunteer amount.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
suggested donation.
Suggested, I like that.
Yeah.
Suggested donation. Okay.
And you know,
But that helps
donations.
keeps the light on. I mean, it's
Right.
just as a donation, just like any other form of donation would be, whether it be a fundraiser or anything.
Yeah, donations are a big part of every program in transportation because you know you have your fare-based people who pay the fare, but the whole other side of that is your donations. And for people that aren't required, because they're receiving funding through ADSD, the Division of Aging Services, who is pretty much paying in advance for their seniors to get free
Okay.
transportation.
Yes.
So they have the option, whether it's $1, $5, or $20. A lot of our veterans drop $20 every time we take them on a ride to their medical appointments, and it's just something they choose to do.
Yes.
So it's a big part of the program, and it's very helpful.
That's fantastic. And now, I do income taxes, so I have to ask the question, the donations, are they tax deductible?
I'm not a tax expert, so I don't know that. But
I
I
had
think
to ask the question.
I know that for the Pahrump Senior Center, if it's a sizable donation, we always supply them with a tax form
Okay.
for that donation.
I think depending on the amount, correct. The smaller ones, people don't usually request that, but I know they can log and record those. But for the larger donations from organizations or businesses, absolutely that would be.
Okay. And I can say, and I'm not an attorney or anything, but having done income taxes for many years, if you make a donation, it is tax deductible for something like that.
Excellent.
But you have to keep the records yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and but you can always request, you know, say at the end of the year, if they track their donations from people that gave $1 here, $5 here, $20 there, and if they're tracking that at the end of the year, they may ask for letters saying, hey, I'm doing my taxes. Can you give me a summary of my donations this year? And it may be a total of $200. So that'd be very helpful for people to do and know that.
That sounds great. Any closing remarks?
Just we are really looking forward to serving the community and providing this service for everybody, not just seniors.
This is fantastic. Again, wanted to bring you this information so you knew exactly what's going on. And we're looking at probably mid-February, and you should see the buses on the road, and you should be able to be making calls to get pickup and so on. So again, I want to thank you. I hope you've got all the information you need. Be sure to contact these gentlemen if you have any questions at all. And we want you to stand by because we have some good guests for the next sessions. We'll see you then.